What's going on in here?
So I called PSC about getting the gas turned on for the furnace in shop 13 so we can have some heat. And surprise, surprise, they can get out today to turn it on, same day. But I have to be out there. They don't know when they can come, sometime today. So I'm just gonna have to like hang out in the cold, waiting for the guy to come and take care of everything. So I'm driving Hannah right now. I don't drive Hannah very much right now, my trusty Jeep. Hannah has seen better days, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, the first thing you might notice, safety conscious YouTube here, is I'm driving without a seatbelt. Kids, ladies, gentlemen, do not drive cars without seatbelts. This is not a good thing to do. But what's happened here is I actually don't have, you can see it there, I don't have a seatbelt because when Hannah was down in Arizona on our land, pack rats got into her and started eating at everything, and it was made a big mess. So they ate through the driver's side, of course, the driver's side seatbelt. Of all the seatbelts in the car, they ate through the driver's side. And then just to add insult to injury, they ate through the wiring harness for the seatbelt sensor right up at the connector, so it's not easy to temporarily do a fix. So that the seatbelt sensor, I can't just put, you know, the belt buckle in the receptacle to get it to shut off, so it bongs at me constantly. And on a JK, there's actually a procedure to disable that, but it requires the sensor to work. So I can't do it because the wire's broken, so that's bad. They ate through the wiring harness that goes back to the fuel tank. Luckily, they didn't eat the wire, the power wire for the fuel pump, but they did eat through the wire for the fuel gauge. So Hannah has not had a working fuel gauge in quite a while. And then they left, I can't even tell you, I wish I had video of it from back then. I can't even tell you how much debris, cactus, needles, just all kinds of shit they packed in. They were like nesting up in the dashboard. I eventually had to just power wash the entire inside of the Jeep out just to try to get the needles, cactus needles, and we're still finding debris, still finding needles and little bits of it everywhere, so that's no good. And then for a while the Jeep had a problem where if it rained really heavily, the speedometer, the dash cluster would cut out, and then that would also drop the turn signals because they're networked. So the turn signal combination headlight switch is networked on the CAN bus to the instrument cluster, and then the instrument cluster is networked off to the body controller. So when the instrument cluster drops off the network, it takes a ton of switches to it, no good. And this was happening intermittently. This is a common kind of JK issue. All kinds of causes. It can be clock spring, can even be the turn signal, but in the end I actually needed a new gauge cluster. So I got a gauge cluster off eBay during COVID and it got swapped in. That solved all those problems, which I was really glad about. Also kind of cool too, because I had the very basic gauge cluster before, you know, it didn't have like the fuel economy or anything on it. But I figured, hey, why not? I'll get like the deluxe version that has the computer on it and maybe it'll work. You know, I didn't know if the computer would need to be flashed or some option set or something, but I got it and it works. So you can see it there. It's got like the average fuel economy, 50.7. And then obviously the interior is pretty rough too. So I don't mind having the interior pieces missing. I took them out for a reason, especially because I like my trucks to be really light for going jeeping and taking camping trips and stuff. I don't subscribe to that philosophy that a lot of overland people seem to, which is to put all this really heavy shit in your truck. I don't like that. I like them to be light. So I don't miss the interior, but there is some stuff that needs to be addressed. So you can see there, no bolt. So that actually tore out on this really terrible road down to Arizona. If you're from the area, you'll know it, which goes out to Sheep's Bridge. and I was banging over that thing. It was hot, I was impatient, and I was just tearing ass down that road. And it is a bad road, I don't know. So the suspension and everything was fine, but it just rattled, you know, rattled the hell out of the Jeep and finally snapped that bolt. So the roll cage is a little loose, so I got to get after that. And then also the pack rats ate out the wiring harness for my Alpine rear view camera, which I missed. I missed that. It's connected to that stereo system, but it's really handy for backing up, like when you're on the trail and stuff. Especially here now in Washington State, where a lot of the trails are just built under the sides of cliffs. They're real narrow, so you don't want to like back off the side of the road. It's super handy for that. We're almost to Fall City now, so we're just about to pass Small Fries. This is like a classic place, especially in the summer, if you're rolling around to get a milkshake or basically get yourself heart disease. Now, Nikki suggested when we first moved into the shop, which is just a few blocks away, that we should set some kind of limit on the maximum amount of small fries that we're allowed to eat per week. I thought that was really interesting because that already proposes that we would be eating more than once a week. And I'm pretty sure there's no doctor in the world that would suggest that that was any kind of a good idea. All right, let's see. Did it warm up at all? What do you guys think? Not at all. 41 degrees, which is what it is outside. 65% humidity. So Nikki got all this done. First coat. Nearly 5 o'clock. Gas guy still has not come. And I am freezing my ass off. So what I'm trying to do, I realized I have a heated jacket here, and unfortunately the only like cable I have for it is on my motorcycle. So I'm just trying to get it apart so I can get the cable off the battery, and then I'm going to try to hook it up to a power supply and see if I can't get one. Okay, so I have my trusty Chinese power supply. And then I just need to get this wired up. There you go. 5 amps, pulling the voltage down, so it's actually at full draw. It's a bit much for this small power supply, but whatever, I feel warm. That'll help a lot. As long as I don't walk too far, the cable is just about a yard long.
What's going on in here?
Well, you rescued me with pizza and a heater. So now I'm trying to warm up.
Ugh.
We're still waiting for the gas people. It's now almost 7 o'clock. But hey, we get 50 bucks if they don't show up before midnight.
Before midnight.
Before midnight. That's what they said. So we'll be there between 8 a.m. and midnight.
They are worse than the cable company.
They are worse than the cable company. I didn't even think that was possible.
Me either. So, we've had some lovely pizza from the local pizza shop, Sahara's.
Sahara's? Is that where this is from? It's good. It's good pizza.
Yeah.
So the gas guy did eventually come, turn the gas on. The gas in the lines was bad. It was stale. I've never actually heard of this before, but he says apparently after 4 or 6 months or whatever of being closed off, the gas actually goes bad. So you had to open the line and let a bunch of it out, hook it back together again before the pilot would go. But unfortunately on this old furnace here, the pilot is not staying lit. So we think there's this thermocouple right here. And this is responsible for making sure that the pilot light is actually lit so you don't burn down your house or your garage in our case. So something's up with that, so we either have to try replacing that or get a service tech out to look at it. Otherwise though, it does look pretty good. So there's some hope that this old girl can work again. But in the meantime, we don't really know the condition of this or what's going on with it. So I went ahead and I shut the gas lines off.
here and here the pilot, just in case it does happen to be leaking, and then turn the supply line off too, because this is the one he disconnected, so who knows. But we'll just do this because I don't want to leave it and have any kind of a problem. You never know. But he did say if we get it working, we will be warm. He says they put out an amazing amount of heat, which is good because I'm quite cold and I want to be warm. So that'll be really nice once it gets fixed. And that's it for today. I'm headed home where I'm going to go and warm up.